Hey everybody, it is the next day, Tuesday. It's actually afternoon. It's 1:38. I came out this morning around 7:38 and opened the lid a crack, pulled out the peephole because I went to bed before the temperature got cool enough to do those things. So I did it this morning. We were still at, what was the temperature? Oh, I didn't write it down. I think it was about 150 degrees. So I was a little disappointed that I couldn't look in yet. So I just did a little crack peek. And I was quite surprised. Last night I was a little nervous because I couldn't see the cones. They looked like they had completely melted to oblivion. And I was confused because my pyrometer was reading that it was only at like 14. I think the highest I got when I came out was 1450-ish, according to the pyrometer. And I was really confused because although I wanted to try to check it every 15 to 30 minutes, I was like, I'm not going to come until like another 30 minutes to an hour because it was just slowly increasing in heat to where every time I came out, it was barely moving. So I didn't see the point in checking it so much. But strangely, I don't think I'm going to do that again. I think I'm going to go ahead and just check every 15 minutes and make sure that I'm looking at the kiln sitter because I don't know when the kiln sitter went off. I'm going to assume it went off while I was gone because I didn't notice it till the last time I came out. And it basically had reached cone 03 according to the cone sitter, which for me, with my old kiln and the way that I remember the last test firing with an empty kiln, was that I put in a cone 5, I believe it was a cone 5, or no, it was a cone 6. So I wanted to get to cone 6 to test the kiln to see how high it would fire for my cone 5 or 6 that I wanted to reach. And basically with the cone 6 inside the cone sitter, the cones that were in the shelves were about cone 05. It's possible, I can't remember for sure. I have those cones somewhere. I think I may have gotten a little hotter on the top where it might have reached cone 6 on the top, but it was like cone 5 pretty much predominantly coming with that cone 6 sitter. So I felt like, okay, well, I know with this kiln, I'm going to have to put in the next cone up to get the cone below it. So that's what I went with. I went with a cone 03 so that I could get cone 04. But when I saw that all of the cones looked melted and I couldn't see them, I was worried that they had gone past, overfired, maybe cone 02 or worse. So I got really nervous, but I was like trying to keep calm until I opened it. But yeah, we are now at room temperature. And I actually looked in before I started recording, but I'm going to give you guys a little peek in what happened and explain more about the cones and what is going on. So hold on a second. Okay, so we have the top shelf here. This was the cone 05, which has gone completely melted onto the cookie. This was the cone 04, but I think the way that I usually line up the small cones, this would have been fine, but because these were big cones that I've never used before, I guess they needed to be more angled away from each other or possibly done separately. I'm not sure. I'm not used to working with a large cone, so I kind of learned a lesson here that make sure that I angle them more so they don't lean into the next cone. But looking at this, yeah, I can't tell. It looks like the cone 04 definitely reached, went beyond, and then the cone 3 started to mount, and that's a good cone 3, maybe cone 3.5, according to this. But I'm also a little wondering, sorry about my terrible nails, but I'm also wondering if this cone getting stuck to this prevented it from melting all the way, but I would think that it would have melted all the way regardless. So yeah, there's that. I'm looking at this second shelf and it's a little better. The cones were better angled away from each other. So this looks like it got a good cone 03, 03.5. And that's definitely overfired. So had I have been here checking on the kiln more than every hour, I could have prevented that. But yeah, lesson learned. No matter how slow this temperature gauge seems to be gauging, I mean, the fact that a cone, let's see, the cone 03 with a regular self-supporting cone is 1987, and I was only getting like 1350 to 1400 within a half hour to 1450 within the next hour, I really didn't think I was anywhere near a cone 3, you know, or are we cone 0319. It was nowhere near 1900s. So either I have a pyrometer issue where I need to, I don't know if I need to rewire this or just not rely on it. I don't know if it's accurately reading, because based on what I was getting and when I came out here, it was nowhere near 19 anything. It was nowhere near 18. It was still like 15, maybe 16. So I'm a little worried my pyrometer is not reading accurately, and reconsidering trusting that anymore. And really just focusing on these cones and being able to see them better, at least the top shelf. If I could see at least one, then I know what's going on inside the kiln for one shelf to kind of judge the rest. But just peeking down here, I can see that it looks like, you can't see, there we go, down here. Looks like the bottom shelf got to a cone 04 for sure. Cone 03 just started bending. So closer to a cone 04 there, but definitely not sure. Yeah, so it's definitely burning cooler on the bottom and burning hotter on the topper shelves. The middle shelf down there is definitely hotter than the top shelf. So that's a little interesting to see, where it looks like it actually touched the shelf. I'm hoping it's not stuck and it'll come off okay. But yeah, so the top shelf, middle shelf is actually hotter than my top shelf. So I could have some, old element issues going on in here where everything's burning unevenly, but I could still work with this and just get kind of a good setting, and also keeping track of, checking the kiln more often to watch this kiln setter pop off, and maybe elevating the cookies up higher so that I can see them better in the peepholes. Because once they started melting, I couldn't see the second or third ones. I mean, through the peephole here, I didn't really have that great of a view. I lined it up so that I could see the cookies at the time that I put them in here. I'm trying to see how I did that. So yeah, there's this, the mushroom, and that one. And I was pretty sure that I lined it up so I could see the cookies. It's like, I think it's up. Hold on, let me get it. Let me get in here. Where is the hole? There it is. Okay. So yeah, when I angle my eyes up, I could actually see it. So it was still very difficult to see it. You look in and all you saw was red flame. So probably going to have to invest in those welder's glasses that everyone keeps talking about to protect your eyes. Maybe I'll actually be able to see better. Bring them closer to the peoples. I don't know what's the best place or way to do that, but these are going to be my best bet. And knowing what the temperature is inside the kiln, I just wish there was like a secret hot lava camera we could have in there and tell us everything that's going on, even though we can't see inside. And I'm sure maybe one day we'll have that technology, but we don't. So it is what it is. This is a vintage, probably from the 70s. I don't know what even, I forgot what kiln this was. This is a Jenkins. Looks like, not even sure. Oh, model B28. So yeah, I don't even know what this is. Definitely know it's a Jenkins kiln, model B24 actually. So I'll have to look that up more. And I do have, I thought I had the manual, but I think it's for another kiln that I had. Hi, mister. Say hi to mister. But either way, I'm not disappointed. The pieces all look great. So far on the first shelf, I don't see anything cracked or any problems. I did the tongue test, supposedly to see if there was any porousness left, and my tongue was sticking a little bit to the pieces, so it didn't overfire too much. So it's still going to hopefully take glaze well. And I mean, we'll know for sure when I glaze and glaze fire how the glaze sticks to the pottery. But so far, nothing seems to have exploded. Ooh, I'm tripping. And everything looks great. So yeah, I had a right to worry. It did fire hotter, but it seems to be okay, and we'll just go from here with the progress of glazing all these pieces and then getting them loaded for kiln for glazing. So having gone through this process of the stacking, I'm definitely going to probably need at least 2 kiln fires to glaze all these pieces and fire them so that they'll all fit in the kiln. So it looks like I'm going to fill this baby up twice for glaze firing, but until then, I will basically just give you guys like behind the scenes of the glazing process, whatever I have time to film, and show you the glazing and loading the next glaze fire kiln. And please, kiln gods, let this work, because I need these pieces for the 4th of July event that I signed up for, and also for good weather for the July 4th event here in Florida. We usually get a lot of rain during summer, so please pray for no rain 4th of July, and for these pieces not to get damaged in the process of glazing and glaze firing. Amen. All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this bisque firing behind the scenes, and I will probably show you guys. I can unload the kiln as well and do a fast forward on me taking all the pieces out, or I don't know if you want to see bisque fired pieces, but I probably would rather do that on the glazing process to show you everything I'm working on, and also the kiln opening when the final glaze pieces come out. So yeah, all right, guys, wish me luck. Have a great rest of your, well, we're still in June, rest of your June week. All right, I'll check in later. Bye.